Hello, my name is Goldie Drake, and I am your messenger of hope, and I am your trusted advisor. And I want to come by today and ask you a question. Do you even trust yourself when it comes to relationships? You know, we talk about trust in relationships all the time. Trusting your partner, trusting the process, trusting the journey. But have you ever stopped and asked yourself, do you trust yourself in relationships? Hmm, that's a good one. I know many people that have long lasting relationships, and I know people that can't even keep a relationship past a year. And what I find is that we have to take a look at ourselves. We have to be honest with ourselves. And we have to be willing to point the finger at ourselves because it takes two to tango. But the real deal is we have to live with ourselves, right? I became very interested in relationships when I was a kid, and as you know, there are all types of relationships: romantic relationship, friend relationships with your children, relationships with your parents. But that romantic relationship seems to be something that everyone wants. And I want everyone to find true love. And I want you to be able to look at yourself. And I want you to put your radars up, especially like when you meet people and like if you like someone, you have to put your radars up and you have to be able to trust yourself to make the best decisions for yourself, thinking with your brain and not so much with your heart. Because sometimes our heart can lead us to the wrong things or with the wrong person, if you understand what I'm saying. Um, when you've been hurt before, or when your upbringing was not ideal or functional, so we have dysfunction and we have functional. If your home life growing up, meaning the home you grew up in, the environment that you grew up in, your grandparents, your aunts and uncles, your cousins, if you grew up in a dysfunctional family and environment, 9 times out of 10, you are going to be dysfunctional. You will have dysfunctional behavior, such as I have dysfunctional behavior and didn't realize it because sometimes as you're growing up and what you grow up around, it seems normal. It seems normal until you see other families or other girls or other guys that seem to have it more put together than you do. And sometimes that's a front too. But most of the times, if people grow up in a loving uh, home where the parents talked to the kids, they sat them down, they had emotional, intelligent conversations with their children, teaching their kids how to navigate around people and in the world. And when you're in a situation where you weren't taught these things, you were in a fire, you were in a faulty environment that may have just taught you how to survive, did not teach you how to communicate effectively, um, and didn't teach you how to love. That is important when it comes to relationships. Now, like my husband and I grew up with a single mom. He grew up with two parents. And when I tell you that we could be We are so different from each other, and yet we work. Because even though I lived with one parent, he lived with two. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that because when you live with two parents that your life is perfect. Because I thought that when I was a little girl, when I saw kids that had their parents, both of their parents, I thought, oh, they have the life. They're so perfect. But that's not true. Because I have learned as I grew up, and even when I was small, that people that have two parents homes, they still have problems in their homes as well, because each parent grew up in a different atmosphere. Each parent grew up um with different parents. So the parents go through something, their parents go through something as they grow up. I believe that we all have dealt with things in life. And so self-trust in a relationship is something that I want you to become aware of, because everything in a relationship is not always the other person's fault. If you find yourself constantly uh being in relationship after relationship, and even if your relationships only last 2 or 3 years, um that's a plus. That's a plus, because I feel like you can learn from each relationship that you've been in if you stop focusing on the other person and focus on yourself and say, what could I have done better? Or what is my self-worth? Sometimes we choose people that's um not made for us. Not made for us. You have to do a little reflection. Reflect back on the relationship. And reflection is not a weakness, it's actually a strength. This is something that happens when life teaches you hard lessons without teaching you uh, confidence. You have to build your confidence in order to reflect, if that makes any sense. You have to be confident enough in yourself to look in the mirror and say, hey, I could have done this better. I'm married to my husband. We've been married now for 11 years, and I still, like, when we have a disagreement, um, I'm mad at him at the time, but I'm the type of person that I go away and think that maybe I shouldn't have said that, or, maybe I get on him too much, about things, because he's a man that's a baby of the family. And so it's a lot that he didn't learn or doesn't know. Um, so because we grew up in two different households, my strength comes from survival. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of things that I know how to do because I had to self-teach myself how to do bills, how to manage credit cards, how to run a household, how to raise two kids by myself, whereas though he did not have those issues. He was the baby of 7. And you know how the baby is. When I got with him, his brothers were still giving him money and he was a grown man. So he's a little spoiled. You know what I mean? Ooh, excuse me, my phone's shaking. He's a little spoiled. He's a spoiled man. But then he spoils me. So um trusting yourself in a relationship. Grow before you get into that relationship. I want you to take a look at yourself. And I want you to analyze your entire life and where you are now, what you have learned, and what you can do moving forward to trust yourself in a relationship, okay? Because that is very important in a relationship, trusting yourself. Sometimes we get overwhelmed, we get overjoyed. We're so happy that someone loves us and oh, they're going to treat me so good. That's not always true, because you have to treat yourself good first. People treat you how you treat yourself. That is a fact. Okay, so I'm going to stop this right here, but I really do want you to start trusting yourself in relationships, and that will require you to take a look at yourself. And I want you to look at yourself. You know why? Because you are a beautiful person. You have a beautiful heart and a beautiful spirit, right? And if you don't, work on yourself. All right. Well, you have a blessed day. I hope this message came to you at a perfect time that you needed it. And God bless you. See you on the next video.